It is Sarah, and hello, wonderful. Hope you guys are doing great. I've been doing expert interviews this week and working on my book. And it's been awesome. And so we've talked about in the group, I did a post recently about how you respond to like a dangerous or scary situation, which is fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So fight can be temper, angry, aggressive. Sorry, I have like notes here. Being aggressive, pursues power and control, impulsive decision making. So basically, when someone doesn't feel safe, they can try to power over. Okay. What I do want to be clear about is the fact that some people power over because they feel better when they bully, or they power over to get their way, or they power over to get you to avoid finding out they've been stealing money or cheating or whatever, okay? They use anger to their advantage. Some of you, if you're in a dangerous situation or you don't feel safe, you may try to control things more, or you may criticize or rage or be aggressive, okay? Most of you probably aren't. That's probably not your go-to. Maybe some circumstances. I've been talking for like an hour and a half, so I'm like, blah, 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 blah. But I do want to point out that if you see something about fight, flight, freeze, fawn, don't start making excuses for toxic people to say, well, they just didn't feel safe, and so they were raging against me and called me big fat bitch, and I just need to make them feel more safe, and then they won't do that anymore, and they can change. Okay? So as you see charts like this, I do want you to caution against that, okay? Flight, feelings of panic, anxiety, workaholic, obsessive, always on the go, over worrying, perfectionist, hyperactive, achiever, over analytical. Many of you fall in that category. And you're my girls. I'm a flight girl myself when I go into a panic situation, okay? Or there's a situation I feel unsafe in, okay? So some of you may be more flight, freeze, depression, disassociation, brain fog, avoid human contact, detached, struggle with making decisions, hibernating, isolating, okay? Some of you may freeze when you feel unsafe. And many of you will also fawn, people pleasing, have a hard time standing up, thinking, oh, I just need to be more likable. Okay, I've definitely been a fawn in certain circumstances of my life. Just letting other people make decisions, lack of boundaries. Okay, whatever you want, no problem, whatever you want, whatever you want. People pleasing, right? Avoid conflict, highly concerned with fitting in, okay? So this raised a huge discussion in our group, and people were saying what they had been. And somebody asked, and honestly, my first thought is, when I saw that list is, oh, when you're not in those things, what are you like? And the really important thing to point out is, in times you feel unsafe or you're trying to create safety for yourself, you probably have a go-to. Okay? Fight, flight, freeze, fawn, some type of combination. When you feel unsafe, you probably have something you automatically go to. And somebody asked, well, if you're not all those, what is a healthy response to a dangerous situation? And we're giving ourselves like a lot of like mental gymnastics there, because if a crocodile is biting you, there's actually a crocodile biting you. And it's really important to notice. So fight, flight, freeze, fawn, that's in situations you feel unsafe. And what's important to note is, how do you act in situations that you do feel safe? Okay. Are you more assertive at that point? Are you more confident? Are you more not overthinking because you're able to say, okay, this is what's happening. I'm okay with what's happening. That sort of thing. Okay. So the whole point of that fight, flight, freeze, fawn conversation is, how do you respond when you feel unsafe? And the solution, the answer is, how can you create more safe situations in your life? And in my book, I was working on it this morning, and if someone was in war, right? And so you go talk to somebody about being in war, and you're like, oh, I just, I'm trying to figure out what I should learn from war, and I'm trying to figure out, what war has come into my life to mean to me. I'm trying to find out the significance of war, and I'm trying to figure out who I am in war. I'm trying not to let war bother me. People would look at you as if you had lost your mind. Because war is scary. War is dangerous. War isn't like a problem to solve. It's a crisis to manage. So not being stuck in fight, flight, freeze, fawn is like, okay, is this like a crisis to manage? Is there a crocodile biting my arm? Is there a toxic person breathing, screaming at me? Is there, actual danger in my life that I need to be aware of? That's really important to notice. Or am I just trying to glorify a real crisis management situation? Like some of you guys are in war every day. You're like, oh, I really think I'm just learning a lot about myself through war. I really think, I'm becoming a better person in war because in war, I can never be selfish. I'm just learning to be less selfish. And you tell yourself all these stories in your head so you don't make changes in your life. And you put it on yourself rather than on the toxic person. Oh, maybe I have PTSD. Oh, the reason our relationship doesn't work is because I have PTSD. The reason your relationship doesn't work is because he is a selfish jerk. And he always gets his way, and your life always revolves around him. It is not your PTSD or your fight, flight, freeze, fawn, or whatever else. There are certain circumstances that it takes two to tango. There are some circumstances where there are two toxic people together. There are. But there's this huge category of one toxic person always getting the better end of the deal of the relationship. And you always, I just need to be more giving, more kind, less needy, more loving, give them more chances, look over more bad behavior. And we need to have more conversations around that relationship dynamic, which I don't want you to get caught up into, fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Oh, how am I reacting in war? If there's a situation that's actually dangerous for you, if you're actually in war, the coping strategy that will get you to the other side is the coping strategy to use. If that's overachieving, I hope it's not raging against others. Maybe rage in your own. I tell my kids, it's okay to be mad. It's not okay to hurt other people when you're mad. So get in your own room, punching bag, awesome. Don't punch other people. Freeze. Maybe it's, isolating and protecting yourself and cocooning for a little while. Maybe, for a small period, it's just easier to let them have their way so it doesn't turn into this big thing. Use sparingly, okay? Use hyperactivity sparingly. Use overachieving, worrying sparingly. All those are crisis management techniques. The problem is when you have not been able to create safety for yourself, it's just become normal. So people pleasing's normal. Depression's normal. Hypervigilance is normal. And when I started in this work, I thought my hardest battle was going to be against toxic people. And my hardest battle is your normal. Especially in women. I had a couple calls recently with women, in their 60s. And it's just this is just life. And they describe these really horrific situations, all these things they've done to try, years of fight, years of flight, years of people pleasing, years of whatever. And I'm not saying there's not hope for you. I'm saying for there to be hope for you, you have to want to reset normal. An entire life feeling unsafe in your own skin is not normal. Or maybe I hate to use that word normal. It's not best. Okay? And there is another life. There is a possibility. There is a life where it's not all people pleasing, not all crisis management, not all feeling unsafe in your own skin. But you have to want that not to be normal. When you give up and you just say, huh, this is what it is. Well, this is what it is. Yeah, this is life. Life is hard. If y'all want to be in relationships, this is just what it is. Yeah, I'll probably always be depressed. I'll probably always. That has been the most, it's so funny to say, I really thought my battle was going to be against toxic people. And my battle is in getting women to choose themselves. If I had a $10 million course on how to get the guy to change and be the person you always wanted him to be, I'd be the richest woman in the world. And then when it comes to you choosing you, you investing in you, you making the time for you, even people, some people have, they'll get help and then never use it or never sign in or never do what they need to do. And it's like they are so programmed to choose everyone else over you. That just feels normal. And so if that is you at any point, fight like the Dickens against it. Fight to choose you. I'm not talking about making you number one. I'm not talking about you being selfish. I'm talking about you getting to be a human too. It is completely out of alignment if I tell my children to brush my teeth and I don't brush my teeth. It is completely out of alignment if I say you need a self-care but I don't need a self-care. It is completely out of alignment if you need to have boundaries and I don't have boundaries. It's completely out of alignment if you shouldn't let people talk to you that way and you shouldn't put up with that behavior, but I'm going to let people talk to me that way and I'm going to put up with that kind of behavior. So we're not talking about selfishness. We're talking about alignment. We're talking about living in integrity. We're talking about leading by example. You have girls, and little boys looking up to you, whether you have children or not. You have a whole other generation of women looking up to you who need you to get out of fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and learn to start to create safety for yourself so that you can see what it is like on the other side. I don't know how I got off into all that. I meant to just talk about the fight, flight, freeze, fawn thing. But it's important. And it's important to say no more and to make that choice, no more, rather than just getting better at putting up with bad behavior. Hope that helps. I hope you guys have an awesome day.